Hey, good Wednesday morning. It's 8 a.m. on the East Coast. I'm your host, BKP. We're coming to you live from Ellijay, Georgia, right? Do you know where Ellijay, Georgia is? Well, you should come up and say hello sometime. We have a great Apple Festival going on up here in Ellijay. We have Paul's in the Park this weekend. We always have things going on, and it's beautiful in October in the North Georgia mountains. I'm your host, BKP. If you'd want to get in touch with the show, you could text us at 706-889-9700 or chief@fetchernews.com. And also follow us on Twitter at FetcherNews, at FYNTV, at Team FYN Sports. Also, our YouTube channel is FYN. Josh, let's put a new tag across the top there where we have room in the header for tomorrow's show or whenever on this screen right here that shows our YouTube channel exactly how it's labeled, okay? All right, thank you. So you can find our YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetcher News. You subscribe there, and anytime we're live, you'll get a notification. Okay, so this is not the Khashoggi hour, okay? Now, easy. I'm not glossing over a journalist from the Washington Post allegedly being murdered with the bone saw and everything in the Saudi Arabian consulate over there in Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey. I'm not glossing over that, okay? That is serious. But we're not going to do the Khashoggi hour. We're going to focus a little more on Georgia elections, primarily the governor's race, okay? Because I've watched the Rachel Maddows and I've watched the Chuck Todd and I've watched the national media really try to turn a story into something that is so far from true, and it's upsetting to me. And I want them out of our election. Now, I know we have national viewers, so wherever you may be this morning in the United States of America, the great United States of America, wherever you may be, welcome, stay tuned. But these are things you probably should pay attention to for your state, okay? It's happening everywhere. But if you'll notice, there's a hyper, tuning into the state of Georgia for the governor's race that the national media has their eye on. Okay, so no, this is not the Khashoggi hour. We don't have time put up for number 16. We don't have time. We'll talk about it later in our comedic segment, if I think I'm funny. But we don't have time for Pocahontas and Horseface. Okay, so we'll leave Tiny. There's Tiny, Pocahontas, and Horseface. We'll do that later. Okay. If you don't know what that means, then you are living under a rock and you're not on social media. And how could you get who could tell the next creative Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas joke on Facebook? My favorite one on Facebook is Donald Trump's the maitre d' at a restaurant, and Pocahontas shows up. She wants a table for two, and Donald Trump looks at her and says, "You don't have a reservation." That's my favorite one. There's a lot of them. They're great. We understand the Jeep Cherokee is getting some great free advertising because the white Jeep Cherokee is going around like crazy on the media. So we don't have time for Tiny, Pocahontas, and Horseface. So move them off there. Now, we're going to focus on, do you think, now I want you to listen to something here, okay? We're going to play a couple videos. And my concern is Georgia. My concern is, are the Democrats, have they been preparing for quite some time with Eric Holder? Now remember, everybody that has listened to the, when they go low, we kick them. Remember, Eric Holder was in McDonough, Georgia. That's where he was at. So nationally, if you're one of them Fox viewers and you're sitting there all day and Fox never gets turned off and pot of coffee's going, hey, no problem. I'm good with that. Trust me, Mom and Dad this morning have Fox. They better have this show on, but they have Fox all day long and a pot of coffee going. I understand. So, but Fox has really hit that video of Eric Holder saying, when they go low, we kick them. But the thing that people leave off, it's he was in McDonough, Georgia, doing a training at that time. Now, I'm not going to go backward, but we have talked over and over the NDRC, the National Democratic Redistricting Committee. We've talked about that. They have been zeroed right in on Georgia. We know all the 2020 hopefuls have been here, but realistically, you've got Al Sharpton, okay? The domestic terrorist has been here. They all have been here to take pictures with Stacey Abrams. Kirsten Gillibrand, Pocahontas, just a couple days ago, was on the trail where we have a new famous video. So Hollywood is pouring money into Georgia. We have talked about the three people, Tom Steyer, the billionaire, who wants to impeach Trump, that has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a campaign to impeach Trump. So he is the guy that wants to, you know, overthrow your government, just like Alec Baldwin said the other day in New Hampshire. By impeaching Trump, he's the one slice of the billionaire key there. And then you have Michael Bloomberg. He is in Georgia all the way with his money. He has invested big money in Georgia, and yes, he wants to take your guns. That's not a scare tactic. I know some people say, well, you know, conservatives or Republicans just yell a scare, and I'm not doing that. Michael Bloomberg is very clear, has a lot of very clear videos that you can watch of him. Yes, he does not feel we really need guns. He would disarm the American people. So he is the third mark zeroed in on Georgia. And then George Soros. And George Soros has given the Georgia Democrat Party millions, not just them, special interest groups, millions here in Georgia. And you think of another state out there, I just want you to focus with me if you're from Georgia. You think of another state out there that you could really put those three together that have zeroed in, poured money in, Hollywood's poured money in, okay? Eric Holder was in McDonough, Georgia doing a training. One of the very first names on the top of the list, not because her last name starts with an A. I know they're going to say, well, it's an A, Abrams. But Stacey Abrams was one of the top, okay, and first Barack Hussein Obama endorsed her, okay? So all of that being said, there's been a plan, okay? So I'm trying not to be... you know, I know you're busy out there. So if you just woke up and said, oh my God, this is all going on in Georgia, where have you been? I understand you've been working, taking care of the kids, getting to soccer practice, football practice, all the above, trying to pay the bills. I'm with you. So nobody's upset. But this is where we're at. And my concern is, do you think, because I do think it's possible, okay, that Democrats, when I say Democrats, I'm talking about the Georgia Democrat Party, Stacey Abrams / Sarah Riggs Amico / John Barrow / on that top of the ticket. Have they been planning to steal an election? That's going to be up to you to decide, okay? But I want to bring you some things right now. Now, I want to bring you the Stacey Abrams from the other day. She's with Pocahontas. You got to have fun. I mean, you don't have to like Donald J. Trump, but I'm going to tell you, he can throw a name out. And since she did the Native American DNA test, I tell you what, the American people love looking at that lady and calling her Pocahontas. And Democrats, you can say you don't do it, but you enjoy it too. But a couple days ago, Stacey Abrams is in Georgia campaigning with Elizabeth Warren, and this is what she says about the blue wave. Now, you're going to say, well, you're tired of seeing this, but let's play it one more time just to get our day started. Play that one, Josh.
But the thing of it is, the blue wave is African American.
Yeah.
It's white, it's Latino, it's Asian Pacific Islander.
Yes.
It is disabled. It is differently abled.
Yes.
It is LGBTQ.
Yes.
It is law enforcement.
Yes.
It is veterans.
Yes.
It is made up of those who've been told that they are not worthy of being here.
Yes.
It is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented.
Yes.
Okay, the blue wave, here's what she says. The blue wave, okay? The blue wave. All right, let's focus on this for a minute. The blue wave, and we're going to be going with the Dale. Is it Dale Russell? Or is that who it is with the where he sits down with Stacey Abrams? Okay, the blue wave is, and she gives a whole list. Now, she is out there today telling people, Stacey Abrams, Democrat candidate for Georgia governor. She's out there telling people now. I don't know if she said, quote, misspoke. Okay, but she's saying that was not her intent. Okay, I tell you what, she didn't stutter, she didn't stumble, she didn't. I mean, it was there on the roll. It was something that was rehearsed. It is something she knew she was going to say. Now, I want to bring this up. Okay, they don't make the mistakes they claim. All right. What happens is every once in a while, a Democrat tells the truth. Every once in a while, of how they intend to do things. Now, going back, all right, Sarah Riggs-Amico, Sunday before last, said, okay, not to quote, I don't have that, but said, hey, you know, in a Me Too error, I don't know if a governor, Brian Kemp, makes it 4 years. Stuff happens. Why would you even say that? Why would you say that? But then when she's asked by the media, she starts backtracking and soft-shoeing and saying, you know, she was just given a long list of possibilities or what could happen or so on and so forth, okay? So that being said, you know, she backtracked. Abrams is trying to backtrack now on the illegals, which you can't. She said it. The one thing that I don't think people pick up on is the word documented and undocumented. Well, first of all, they're illegal, so I mean, but documented. She wants every vote she can get. She's done the math. And when she says documented as part of the blue wave, that should be as concerning, not citizens, not legally here able to vote in this country, not citizens of the state of Georgia, documented and undocumented. So if you're undocumented, she'd like to figure out how to get you registered, okay, and get you to vote. If you're documented, she'd like to figure out how to get you registered and vote. But documented, not meaning legally able to vote. I think that in that sentence where she says documented and undocumented, I know everybody's unhinged over the undocumented, and I agree with that. But I think we're glossing right over the documented side too. Now, we have brought up, well, we're gonna do this first. We're gonna do this first. Are you able to, do you think I can have the volume now? Do you think that's corrected or? Okay, let's try the Dale Russell. The one where somebody's sitting down, Fox 5 sits down with the interview, and this is back in July, I think.
So first of all, congratulations on having made history. I guess it won't be entirely satisfying unless you close the deal, right?
I am pleased at what we were able to accomplish, and I look forward to accomplishing even more.
Okay. Now, you know what the challenge is. A couple of years ago, President Trump beat Hillary Clinton here by a couple 100,000 votes. 4 years ago, Governor Deal won by a couple 100,000, and so did David Perdue. It seems pretty consistent. So where are you going to find 200,000 votes to change things here in Georgia and have a Democrat win?
There are more than 1 million eligible, available Democrats. But more than that, there are millions of Georgians who need to be engaged in this process. And what we've focused our campaign on is going to every state, every county in the state, talking to every community, really building that coalition of voters. Because I think the most important population that we haven't spoken to are those who don't think their voices matter, who look at what's happening in the economy and do not feel themselves to be represented. My campaign is about making sure that every voice is lifted up and that everyone knows that they will have the freedom and opportunity to thrive when I'm the next governor. And we're going to find more than 200,000 folks who want that to be so.
You know, it's interesting. It sounds like you're talking about the forgotten man and woman, which is precisely the terminology that Donald Trump uses, that's who he's appealing to. Obviously, you're not going after the same people. Who are you talking about?
I think that you will find that regardless of political ideology, there are a lot of folks who feel left behind. The goal is to make certain that the next governor of Georgia tries to serve every single one of them. My conversation, though, is going to be focused on the principles that I hold to be dear, that we have a strong public education system, that we are building a thriving and diverse economy in every county, and that we are using government to help do the things government's supposed to do. Number one on that list is expansion of Medicaid, because if we expand Medicaid, we expand Medicaid.
All right. Now, what I want you to pick up there, and this is where we're going this morning. Thanks for adjusting the volume, Josh. What I want you to pick up this morning, okay? Now, he says in this interview, and this is months ago. Now, keep this in mind, and this is why I want to work on this, because you're going to have to do some research at home. There's homework to go with this. All right. They know, right? They know. He brings up David Perdue. He brings up Governor Deal, okay? So they know there's that 200,000 gap there, okay, that they need. There's been that 200,000 gap. I've told you this from day one, all right? Democrats are always that 5%, okay? But let's, 5% out. But there's a 200,000 gap, and he brings it up. Now, this interview is months before exact match. Months before voter suppression. Okay? The media is not picking up on this. The national media is not even looking at this time at all. But what does she say? We have the 200,000. We have over 200,000 that we need. Now, bring up number 5, picture number 5, Josh. Okay? 5A. Sorry, that's my fault. Josh, I'll take the blame for that because I sent you 2 number 5s. Okay, now the interview, as you can see, she says we have over 200,000. Okay? That we need. We have them. So there's been a plot, and that's my opinion, or a plan to get enough registered voters, whether they're legal or not, on the roll, okay? On the roll to bridge the gap. Look at that right there. The new Georgia project reaches 221,897 submitted voter registrations. The new Georgia project. Now, it's over that right there. It's over that. But when she says we're going to do an outreach to every county, we're going to do outreaches to every county. The code words in that interview or statements are, we are going to pay canvassers. We have set up a project where people could funnel money into. You will not see how I use the money. People will not see exactly how the money is being used. That's another subject in itself. And we're going to start, Stacey Abrams started that. The new Georgia project reaches 221,897 submitted voter registrations. Okay? Stacey Abrams started that. They have known all along, just like that interview. Where are you going to find those 200,000? The gap from David Perdue, the gap from Nathan Deal. These elections in Georgia, Democrats are sitting, right there you go. But when she says we are going to aggressively get out and go county by county and we have the votes, she knows sitting there, we have the votes. They're out there. They paid canvassers to go out in all of these counties, okay? Now, the next thing when we get into exact match and the media starts screaming, okay, where were they? I wish they would leave us alone in Georgia. Where were they? They feel they have a duty to do to protect the people of Georgia from voter suppression, which they absolutely know nothing about. And here we are in LJ, Georgia, with limited resources, limited staff. We don't have big research teams, and we're able to bring you the truth, okay, as opposed to these billion-dollar corporate media fake news networks. I'm sorry whether you don't like that or not, that jump in to protect us. Why, they're coming in to help. You know, the mainstream media, or the media, we had a saying, there was a term back years ago. They're like carpetbaggers. They come in and want to help at certain times. Why, fair and free elections, is that not something every single day you turn on? I watch Beto O'Rourke, or whatever his name, and Ted Cruz. I watch Synonym, whatever her name is, Cinnamon, I don't know, and McSally out in Arizona. I watched their debate. All of them know how to say free and fair elections. And my God, the media is coming in to help. Where were they when the truth was needed? So she said she could find the 221,000. Okay. She said that now their concern is what is there 57,000 that are held up, they claim, 53, whatever. Their concern is will they be able to push enough fraudulent voters across the line to steal the election? That's my opinion. Just is. I'm looking at all the math because Stacey Abrams is on record saying she's done the math. Oh, and don't think whatsoever now, Stacey Abrams is very educated lady, very educated, very smart, okay? Oh, she's done the math. They have been planning this for years. You woke up in Georgia and here it is, because now you got Joe, Joe and Minka and Rachel Maddow and CNN and all of them. Voter suppression, exact match, okay? Now, so far, because we're going to go to break, we're going to stay on this, okay? So far, she wants the blue wave to include documented and undocumented. So if you're here illegally, she wants it to include you. Documented, if you are here and you have documents to be here as a resident of the country, but you legally cannot vote in our elections, she wants you to be able to be a part of it. All right, that's number one. And she did that with Elizabeth Warren just a couple days ago. The interview I showed you, okay, where on Fox 5, this is months ago, before the national media came in to save us in Georgia from voter suppression. Oh my God, I get so tired of that, okay? He tells her, hey, there's 200,000. There's always this gap of 200,000, somewhere around that in Georgia. Where are you going to find those? Oh, she's smiling from ear to ear. I mean, she's grinning, okay? Now, there was an old, I better not. I'm trying to stay serious, so I'm not going to go down any roads and get me in trouble. But she's grinning because she says, if you watch that again, hey, we've got the 200,000. In fact, we got more than 200,000. Because what we've done is we've put an effort together. I created the New Georgia Project. She doesn't tell you that there, which that's well known, okay? And we're paying people to canvass. And we're paying them to collect all the voter registrations they can, handwritten, okay? Handwritten. Now, let's do this, okay? I want to play a clip, the Rachel Maddow clip, all right? So we know all this is happening here in Georgia, all right? But here is Rachel Maddow. Hey, Rachel's a good guy, man. I'm telling you, I think Rachel's a good guy. But anyhow, here is her saving the day in Georgia. Now, do you have the time I put? Because it was a whole segment. I didn't want her whole segment. All right, Josh, roll the tape.
County had been charged with. None of the things they were charged with were actually illegal. Mailing in absentee ballots is not a crime. Registering your neighbors to vote is not a crime. But tell that to the people who Brian Kemp sent his armed agents door to door after in 2010. That's Brian Kemp, Georgia's Secretary of State. He also instituted what's called an exact match program designed, honestly, to kill voter registration applications. If there's even one single digital character difference between your voter registration application and any other record the state has on file for you. So if, like, there's an extra space added by the registrar when she types in your name or your address, literally an extra space. Or if you live on something something road and the registrar types in RD period to abbreviate road instead of RD, which is the way it's abbreviated without the period in some other database, then forget it. You're not registered. Your voter registration will be held until these irregularities can be sorted, if they can be sorted. Brian Kemp invented that. He got sued over that effort, in part because that unique program he designed and pursued out of his office seems to have had what everybody understood to be its desired effect. In the initial iteration of that program, which he came up with, 76% of the voter registration applications that got snagged by that new program Brian Kemp invented, 76% of them were from Georgia voters who were Black, Latino, or Asian. So civil rights groups sued him over that policy in 2016. In the end, he agreed to end the policy and settle with them. They thought that it was over and that would lead to reforms. Nope. Instead, Brian Kemp got the Republican-controlled Georgia legislature to pass a new law which codified that policy that he had just been sued over, so he could put the new policy into effect under a different statutory framework. And under the new iteration of that policy, it appears to be even more racially targeted. Under the old version of the law, the registrations he was snagging with this policy, again, were 76% Black, Latino, or Asian. Under the new iteration of the law, it's 80% Black, Latino, or Asian. See, he's getting better at this. Meanwhile, the Associated Press this week revealed under the new iteration of this policy for Brian Kemp, his office is sitting on over 50,000 applications for voter registrations that he...
All right, folks, pay attention to that. Now, understand, Rachel Maddow made it the registrar's fault. You got it? If the registrar put something in, put a period in the wrong place. If the registrar, you understand? So first of all, for every worker in the state of Georgia that works in an election office in every count, you should be outraged on how you just got the blame for the 57,000 or 53,000 supposedly voter registrations that are being held up. You see where she gave the blame. Now, I'm going to come back and we're going to work on the 2013 to 2016, okay? And the civil liberties lawsuit and what took place there, okay? What took place there. So we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. I don't have time for Shogi today, or Shatogi, or whatever his name is. I'm sorry, okay? I don't have time for Horseface, Pocahontas, or Tiny right now. I'm focusing on Georgia, and I'd love for you to get this information to your independent friends, because I do know this. I've met some independents that have actually told me that after watching this and looking through this methodically, they see what's taking place here. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do today, because I'll make one more comment before we go to break. I'm telling you now, when you see early turnout, that's the Republicans and the Democrats rushing to vote. Rushing to vote. We'll talk about early turnout, big turnout for early voting on the other side of the break, but they're rushing to vote. It's the independents that are still listening, and I will tell you, a lot of independents listen up to Election Day to make that decision, and that's what we're trying to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back and pay attention to where we're at here, because we're going to put this puzzle together.